A Strange Awakening by George William Russell. Chapter 1. That we are living in the dark age we all know, yet we do not realize half its darkness. We endure physical and moral suffering, but, fortunately or unfortunately, we are oblivious of the sorrow of all sorrows, the spiritual tragedy. Such a rust has come over the pure and ancient spirit of life, that the scepter and the diadem and the starry sway we held are unremembered, and if anyone speaks of these things he is looked at strangely with blank eyes, or with eyes that suspect madness. I do not know whether to call him great, or pity him, who feels such anguish, for although it is the true agony of the crucifixion, it is only gods who are so martyred. With these rare souls memory is not born, life flows on, and they with it go on in dreams. They are lulled by lights, flowers, stars, colors, and sweet odors, and are sheltered a while from heaven and hell. Then in some moment the bubble bursts, and the god awakens and knows himself, and he rises again with giant strength to conquer, or else he succumbs, and the waves of Lethe, perhaps in mercy, blot out his brief knowledge. I knew such an one many years ago, and I tell of him because I know of no deeper proof of the existence of a diviner nature than that man's story. Arthur Harvey, as I have heard people describe him, in his early years was gentle, shy, and given to much dreaming. He was taken from school early, came up from the country to the city, and was put to business. He possessed the apathy and unresisting nature characteristic of so many spiritual people, and which is found notably among the natives of India, so he took his daily confinement at first as a matter of course, though glad enough when it was over, and the keen sweet air blew about him in spring or summer evenings, and the earth looked visionary, steeped in dew and lovely color, and his soul grew rich with strange memories and psychic sensations. And so day by day he might have gone on with the alternation of work and dream, and the soul in its imaginings might never have known of the labors of the mind, each working by habit in its accustomed hour, but for an incident which took place about 2 years after his going to business. One morning his manager said, "Harvey, take this letter, deliver it, and wait for an answer." He started up eagerly, glad for the unwonted freedom from his desk. At the door, as he went out, the whole blinding glory of the sunlight was dashed on him. He looked up. Ah! What spaces illimitable of lustrous blue! How far off! How mighty! He felt suddenly faint, small, mean, and feeble. His limbs trembled under him. He shrank from the notice of men as he went on his way. Vastness, such as this, breaking in upon the eye that had followed the point of the pen, unnerved him. He felt a bitter self-contempt. What place had he amid these huge energies? The city deafened him as with one shout, the tread of the multitude, the mob of vehicles, glitter and shadow, rattle, roar, and dust, the black smoke curled in the air. Higher up the snowy and brilliant clouds, which the tall winds bore along, all were but the intricate and wondrous workings of a single monstrous personality, a rival in the universe who had absorbed and wrested from him his own divine dower. Out of him, the power the free, the fearless whirled in play, and drove the suns and stars in their orbits, and sped the earth through light and shadow. Out of him, never to be reconquered, never to be regained. The exultant laugh of the day, the flame of summer, the gigantic winds careering over the city, the far-off divine things filled him with unutterable despair. What was he amid it all? A spark decaying in its socket, a little hot dust clinging together. He found himself in a small square. He sat down on a bench, his brain burning, his eyes unseeing. "Oh! My, what's he piping over?" jeered a grotesque voice, and a small figure disappeared, turning somersaults among the bushes. "Poor young man! Perhaps he is ill." "Are you not well, sir?" asked a sympathetic nurse. He started up, brought to himself, and muttering something unintelligible, continued his journey through the city. The terrible influence departed, and a new change came over him. The laugh of the urchin rankled in his mind. He hated notice. There must be something absurd or out of the common in his appearance to invoke it. He knew suddenly that there was a gulf between him and the people he lived among. They were vivid, actual, suited to their places. How he envied them! Then the whole superficies of his mind became filled with a desire to conceal this difference. He recalled the various characteristics of those who worked along with him. One knew all topical songs, slang and phrases, another affected a smartness in dress, a third discussed theatres with semi-professional knowledge. Harvey, however, could never have entered the world, or lived in it, if he had first to pass through the portals of such ideas. He delivered his letter, he was wearied out, and as he returned he noticed neither sky nor sunlight, and the hurrying multitudes were indifferent and without character. He passed through them, his mind dull like theirs, a mere machine to guide rapid footsteps. That evening, a clerk named Whitaker, a little his senior in the office, was struck by Harvey's curious and delicate face. "I say, Harvey," he said, "how do you spend your evenings?" Harvey flushed a little at the unwonted interest. "I take long walks," he said. "Do you read much?" "A little." "Do you go to the theatre?" "Never." "Never." "Hugh. What a queer fellow. No clubs, classes, music halls, anything of the sort, eh?" "No," said Harvey, a little bitterly, "I know nothing, nobody, I am always alone." "What an extraordinary life. Why, you are out of the universe completely. I say," he added, "come along with me this evening. I will initiate you a little. You know you must learn your profession as a human being." His manner was very kindly, still Harvey was so shy that he would have found some excuse, but for that chance expression, "out of the universe." Was not this apartness the very thing he had just been bitterly feeling? While he hesitated and stammered in his awkwardness, the other said, "There, no excuses. You need not go to your lodgings for tea. Come along with me." They went off together through the darkening streets. One cheerful and irreverent, brimful of remark or criticism, the other silent. His usual dreaminess was modified, but had not departed, and once, gazing up through the clear, dark blue, where the stars were shining, he had a momentary sense as if he were suspended from them by a fine invisible thread, as a spider hung from her roof, suspended from on high, where the pure and ancient ether flamed around the habituations of eternity, and below and about him, the thoughts of Demos, the smoke, darkness, horror and anguish of the pit.